I'm going to work on leaky squeaky a little bit here, my trusty rusty backhoe. I'm trying to get rid of one of the squeaks. Actually, I think the main squeak. The main squeak on this is a fan belt. The fan belt it's all the way at the adjustment. It only runs the fan and the alternator, but it's so loose you can actually reach in there and spin the fan and the fan belt won't move. It'll just kind of slide across it. Now it doesn't affect it when it's running. It still runs the fan, it still runs the alternator, but I'd like to have a tighter fan belt on there. You can see the adjustment bolt here has a little bit of play left in it, but over here, this is hitting the cap on the power steering fill. So this won't actually rotate any more this way to tighten up that fan belt. So you might think putting a fan belt on, no big deal. Just pop that one off, put another one on, poof, done. No, not in this backhoe. This backhoe was engineered back in 1968. And they didn't really think too far ahead on consumables like fan belts. To replace this fan belt correctly, you have to take the hydraulic pump off the front. So this is a hydraulic pump for the tractor. Now this connects directly to the crankshaft, which is also the lower pulley for that fan belt. It's a drive pulley for that fan belt. So to replace that fan belt with the original fan belt, I would have to take this pump loose, take these lines off, take this loose, reach in there, get it out and around that bracket to this pump and slide it out. Well, to take this pump loose, you got to take these lines loose. And that basically drains all the hydraulic fluid, or most of the hydraulic fluid, out of your system. Now, I don't want to drain the hydraulic fluid out of my tractor. So I'm going to cut that belt off, and I'm going to use what they call a link belt, or a sectional belt. I'd never heard about these belts until about 2 weeks ago. I was watching another guy on YouTube who's actually rebuilding the same tractor I have. And I asked him, I said, is there an easy way to take that hydraulic pump off without draining the fluid and getting a new fan belt on there? First things first, get in there and cut this fan belt off. Try not to let it go. This is kind of the point where you're hoping that a link belt works, because if not, my backhoe is not going to work for a while. So this is a link belt. I got this off Amazon. They sell it in 3/8 and 1/2 inch. I took a guess at mine at 3/8 and bought 2 4-foot links of it. Now it's not cheap, but hopefully it works, because this is going to save me a whole bunch of money on hydraulic fluid and a whole bunch of time pulling that pump off there. But this is just made of these little pieces. That's all it is. They're linked together to make one belt. Take the link belt and stretch it out here. Take my old belt, kind of guess it, where to put it to measure it. Now we do want this belt to be a little bit shorter, so I think we'll take that link out right there. You take these and kind of turn them to the side. Should pop right out of there. Take the other one. There you go. So once you get it in there, you've got 2 things you have to hook together. You got to get this one in the top, and then that second one in there. And the second one's a harder one. So you got to get a pair of needle nose pliers and twist that to get it to pop through there, along with making sure your belt isn't twisted. We'll test the fit on this, see if we can get it linked through there and connect it up, see how long it is, see if it's too long or too short. So we're about 20 minutes later. I got the belt looped around. I couldn't get a camera angle where I could get both my hands in there and still show you guys what I did, but it's kind of self-explanatory. Link it up, test the length of it. I ended up taking out 3 links to get it to where I wanted it. Now this system right here has a problem. There isn't a whole lot of adjustment because it hits right here when you pull it out too far. It's touching right here. Now when you push it in, it only goes in that far, because this little nut right here on the alternator, this hits the intake manifold. So you don't have a whole lot of adjustment, and I'm thinking something down underneath, like the bottom mount, might be bent, because the pulley on the alternator doesn't line up perfectly well with the pulley on the fan. And since there's not a lot of adjustment, I'm just going to kind of get it to a nice sweet spot where it's not rubbing on this and that bolt's not touching. I'll tighten this up. It's still a lot tighter than it used to be, and hopefully it doesn't squeak now. And the only thing left to do is get a battery charger out here, charge the battery up a little bit, fire it up and see if it still squeaks. We'll let that charge up for a couple hours, come back out, fire it up. We'll take it for a test spin, dig up a couple stumps over there when we need to dig up a couple stumps, see if that fan belt stays on there. Well, it's been a few hours, so we'll get out here and fire this backhoe up, see if that fan belt squeaks. We might have gotten rid of one of the squeaks on this backhoe. Well, I can't say it was a super torture test for that belt or anything. All it has to do is run the fan and the alternator. It doesn't have to be super tight, but I ran it for about 2 hours, dug up a couple stumps, did a little bit of dirt work, kind of piddled around here and there. Didn't stretch out, it's still tight. Seems to work all right. Time will tell. Like I said, I've never seen one of these belts before, and I've never put one on a car. And I mean, nowadays cars have serpentine belts, so makes these things kind of obsolete unless you're running an older car or an old backhoe like this. Well, it's nice to get one of the squeaks fixed on the backhoe. I will leave an Amazon affiliate link in the description to the belt that I bought. Now keep in mind, they sell those belts in 3/8 inch wide and 1/2 inch wide, so figure out which one you need before you order them. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, hit the little bell for notifications, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget, go make something.